This podcast is not rated. Listener discretion advised.
Mission 250.
Welcome to the Mission 250 Filmcast, where we are watching at least one more Ingmar Bergman movie. I'm one of your hosts, Denny, and joining me are...
John. And TC.
Very nice. John,
Yes.
I left you some space. You want to tell the audience what we do each week if they didn't already know?
Yes, well, each week we watch a film.
I hate it.
Very sleepy. Yeah, so sorry. I'm just contemplating my own existence here, if you don't mind.
Hold on while I light a cigarette.
I have no friends. And, there's a feeling of emptiness that just lingers like the taste of a bad soup. Anyway, each week we watch a film, and it's we.
And that's it. Is that what you were going to say?
50 films as rated by IMDb users, and we watch one a week and we talk about them. There we go.
Yeah, we got trivia and history and shit like that. And this week, we're watching number 140, which is the 1957 movie Wild Strawberries, directed by Ingmar Bergman. The synopsis is, after living a life marked by coldness, an aging professor is forced to confront the emptiness of his existence. And TC, who loves Ingmar Bergman, it's your turn to go first.
Hey, to be fair, we all liked Fanny and Alexander. You know, it wasn't. I
never want to rewatch that to maybe change my mind. Go ahead, TC.
Anyway, go TC.
I mean, I didn't hate it.
Yes.
But no, I didn't. You know, I kind of like these dark stories. So, I mean, it was all right. It's kind of slow. I mean, tale as old as time, right? You're getting old. You don't want to die, right? I mean, that's basically the movie.
I thought we were going back to Beauty and the Beast references there.
Well, that was what we started with, but I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say. Don't have anything great to say. This is like my same review for every movie pre-1950.
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising.
I got nothing.
After Persona is very straightforward.
Yeah, this one was easy to digest, at least.
Kind of. Well, it's too easy. But then you read like reviews. Well, I don't want to go here yet, but I mean, people make it seem like this movie is deeper than it actually is. I think.
I thought it was pretty light. Like I didn't think. I mean, I wasn't getting too deep.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they said.
I even watched it with all the commentary, which we can talk about later. I think it's sort of, most things in the film are done for a reason, but it's not necessarily super deep or heavy either. Not necessarily super like metaphorical or it's quite direct in terms of what it's talking about, I think.
Right. I mean,
but what is it talking about?
Did you guys go deep?
I tried to figure out what the hell. I mean, because it seemed like such a nothing story. We're just going to start.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seemed like there was no point to any of it.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Wow. Did you, I mean.
So explain to me what the point, I mean, this old guy has a mild shift in mood over the course of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar to, he ate a strawberry, he felt a little better at the end.
Yeah.
After an hour and a half, right?
He did. He ate a strawberry, felt a little better.
He was like, I was just hungry. Okay.
I mean, when was the last time you had a strawberry that didn't make you happy? You know?
And just really, if we just ate some at the beginning of the movie, we would have just gotten on with maybe
I skipped breakfast because my maid was being a bitch.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Ay.
Sorry, John, but beyond a cranky, hungry old man gets a little meal, what is this movie?
Not much. That's why I don't think. How are they getting that deep?
Because they talk about religion in the movie. They talk about life and death. They all this. They like mention things, but it doesn't go into anything.
I think the most important thing is about his relationships with other people and how he has pretty much avoided them, more or less. It's traced back, like you sort of just get to hear more of his history as the movie goes on. You get to learn kind of what his mom was like. You also learn that he had his possibly the love of his life or whatever ran off with his cousin.
No, so his cousin, who was the love of his life, ran off with his brother, who is also her cousin.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Because you fucked that up. That was
all in the
I was like, wait a minute. They're all trying to fuck each other here?
Yeah. Anyway, they're cousins,
Yeah.
I don't know. You see that there's, and then you see all these parallels, like with what is happening with his son and his son's wife. And then you see like within all the characters he meets through the movie, these are like sort of reflections also of the sort of kinds of relationships that he's had as well. Like, so, that really terrible, angry couple that they meet, that sort of like reminds him of, it's a lot of like what him and his wife may have been like. And then, learning from his daughter-in-law, sort of like what his son's like, it also reminds him of himself. And he's feeling death coming pretty soon. Like the dreams, I watched the commentary track, and apparently the dreams in this film are according to Ingmar Bergman, real, meaning that these are actual, he based these things on as much as possible and in as much detail as possible on actual dreams that Ingmar Bergman had. So, but it's all about death and everything. Ingmar Bergman himself was pretty, at least a pretty miserable guy in a lot of ways. So there's this idea of, he's super successful. He's accomplished a lot. If you didn't know him, you could look up to him. But at the same time, his life has felt empty, and he's trying to come to some kind of terms with that. The idea of the film is that emptiness is in terms of how he has treated people and how he has kept himself distanced from people, and how that, the story of the film is kind of, how did that come about? How does he sort of learn more about that? And towards the end of the film, he shifts a little. I mean, he's not like coming to some huge revelation or anything, but he does sort of like push things a little, where he starts to like help try to mend the relationship between his son and his daughter-in-law. He starts to warm up in a way towards his maid, where it maybe they have more of a relationship than just maid and master, maid and I don't know what you'd call it. But so that
woman who lives in my closet, I think.
Yes.
Woman who does stuff.
So I thought it was pretty interesting, and I liked it. I felt it's to me, it seemed a little, I don't know. It seemed subdued, I guess. I don't know what the word is. I was, no, I wouldn't, I don't feel as, I think it's a really interesting idea, and certainly, that's not an uncommon thing to feel, to be successful, but have there be a bit of a shallowness to your life, and try to struggle with understanding it and see what it means. And it's not necessarily, you just see it all happening through the interactions and the people he meets and his reactions to those things. It's not like overly dramatic, which is something that kind of annoys me with, like, say, Persona or whatever, where it's like, look at how poetic and artsy this is. Look at it, or whatever. It certainly didn't seem to have much of that in the film.
I would agree.
So I thought that the actor himself is playing, he's actually his age in the movie. So which is what was it, like
78,
79? Yeah. So he does a fantastic job, I think. And I like I thought the other characters were interesting. And I think there are interesting things in terms of these kinds of relationships where you know each other really well, but you still don't get along. Somehow you have these interactions set up where you still hate each other, or you still make each other miserable. You don't necessarily break up, but you, like that husband and wife that are like constantly fighting it, they pick up. I mean, that's a really sad, tragic thing, and it does happen. And it's frustrating. And like you see that with him and his wife, like when he's thinking back to when he spied on his wife cheating on him, and how she recanted, like,
was that
exactly
what that was?
What her husband, yes. That
she
was
looked like
cheating on him.
It looked like she was getting raped a little bit.
No, she's playing.
That was weird, dude. I don't know. Were you on the fence at all during that scene? Like, it was weird.
At first, but then she was laughing with him, and I think that
I thought the laughing might have been like a coping mechanism with what was happening.
Oh, really? No,
I don't know.
I think at least in terms of also watching the commentary, they were saying that this is his wife cheating on him.
Okay.
And then when she goes and explains how her husband's going to feel about the whole thing after that, and how she's just disgusted by her husband, and not because if he were to find out that she cheated on him. So that's where it sort of like made more sense. She was just sort of play acting, like they were just having fun, apparently.
Gotcha. That's a little
So
less
that-
dark then. That's good.
Yeah. But I'm surprised you didn't watch the commentary on this one, huh?
Oh, it was that same guy that did the Persona and the Fanny and Alexander commentary, and he's really, really boring, right?
Yeah, he's basically like, I think what he's doing is he's just reading. I think
Yes.
he's just got
It's all prepared, I think.
a scene by scene essay, and he's just reading. I was cooking a big dinner tonight, so I like put that on while I was cooking.
Oh, nice.
That's
and
not a bad
that
idea.
sort of worked that way. It was like, to sit there and watch it with that commentary might have been kind of challenging, just because he is very, very just. Here we have the.
And he's like, this
Oh,
actor
God.
here appeared in another 1955 movie that
No
was like
thanks.
this.
Power down.
And
Power down.
It is very dry but also like what you do here is like all of these scenes are like homages to other scenes or recreations of different scenes, paying like the opening of the film is like paying some respects to the silent film era, the way it's constructed, and the main star of the film, that's how he got to be big. Before he came in to do this film, he was a silent film star, and he was
And
Sweden's
director.
most like hands, and producer. I mean, he was huge, and he'd been out for quite some years. And then Ingmar got not necessarily Ingmar Bergman himself, but they arranged to get this guy back in. And also, this actor was one of the people who really defended Ingmar Bergman's first film, which was Bombing. Sort of spoke up for him, and Ingmar also remembered that. That's what a little bit of trivia I remember from the commentary.
Wow.
So like every scene, every shot is pretty meticulous. There's reasoning for it, even though again, if you watch the commentary, it's dry, but there is detail there, and there's reasons for why things are done. I mean, kind of like you were saying, when you watch the commentary for what's it called?
Persona?
No,
Fanny Alexander?
no. The other film that seemed like not very nonsensical until you watched the
8.5.
commentary. Yeah, I mean this film I felt like was much more straightforward. I think, but
Yeah.
maybe that was what was confusing about it. Like it's
Well, it's because when you read it, like the reviews, everyone's like, he's terribly afraid of death. I'm like, is he?
Is he? I don't know.
He
Right.
seemed pretty like he floated through the movie to me, and he was just kind of like an observer to a lot of things.
I think it's just really I thought it was just really subdued. I mean, he's just very much an academic, and so he's just kind of still. I mean, that's kind of his problem, is he's aloof from everything. Like he never like, and so when he makes these small statements, I think if you can get in the movie, I think it's kind of powerful. Where he tells his daughter-in-law, "I like you." At the end of the film, I mean, that's like a big deal. That's like it's only a small shift in terms of like what normal people would do, but that was like kind of like a big deal of the movie for him to do that.
And you bought that relationship
character.
developing in that way?
Yeah,
And that was part of the problem with me. Like, I did not buy
Yeah.
it. It seemed, the acting seemed very old. I don't know how to describe it, but like when people were mad, they'd be like, I'm so mad right now. And when they were sad, they're like, I'm sad. Like they would just say what they were doing while they were doing like the motions of crying.
Yeah, the movie, again, it was very direct. It just seemed like it had an academic feel to it in a way, sort of like, again, there was a distance of sorts, I guess. Yeah, I can sort of see that stuff, but that's like more of
Like when they were talking about how they hated each other, it was weird too, because like she was smiling. Like the first dialogue they had when they were in the car together. You know what I'm talking about? Like she was like she was talking about how much she disliked him, but then she was smiling and stuff, and I was like, wait a minute.
So
What is this?
And again, maybe that's a strange. I mean, to me, it seems like it's a bunch of pretty well-educated, intellectual people dealing with their emotions and being able to be very removed from things, which is kind of the problem, sort of. Arguably, I don't know, because they're even like the husband and wife that are just constantly fighting each other. They're both like analyzing the other one and describing their emotions and reactions and whatever in this way that's like very intellectual, rational, or whatever, and not and without having a whole lot of like compassion or feeling to it, and it's. Kind of like cold and sort of sad.
And it's not very realistic, I don't think. Like in terms of how people actually talk and interact with each other.
Maybe. I think it's just like...
Which is, I mean, just to say, like, that's the reason it didn't click with me is because this movie is about being human, right? And it's so inhuman the way people act.
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. It's about being a kind of human. It's about being like this guy who is very much in his head and has removed himself arguably because he's gotten hurt or because of the way he was brought up, or and then because of the way he got hurt and how he just sort of like gave himself over to his career, and so everything was just kind of in his head, and he just didn't want to examine anything else. And so even when something's hurting him or something's uncomfortable, he's still quite distanced from the whole thing. So that might seem unreal. I didn't buy it as I didn't think of it as unreal. I just thought of it as more that's the kind of people these people are. That's all.
I also really didn't like the casting choice between like his ex and the new girl being the same actress and having the same name.
Yeah,
I was like, that's way too
a little too obvious.
A little too obvious right there.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
And there's like the two guys going after the same girl, and it's like, well, that's obviously his relationship. What are the odds?
Right. Yeah. That's everything's just a little bit too coincidental here or there.
It is.
Yeah.
TC, I heard him laugh. Oh, he's still here.
I'm still alive. I just don't have anything to say.
Dude, my notes for this movie are so nothing. Like I wrote, one of my notes is egg cup. Nice.
What?
Yeah.
They had the little egg cups that fancy people back in the day had when
egg cup. I thought you said a cup, and I'm like, what?
Oh no, sorry, no egg cup.
Egg cup. Very good. Okay, it's like I didn't even know where you're going with that. All right.
Yeah, it just like that's. I was like, all right, this scene has an egg cup in it. That's the only interesting thing to me that's happening. He's like arguing with his little maid there, and then that scene's over. Cool. I don't know. Yeah. See how big that dog's nipples were?
Yeah, huge.
Oh, yeah.
That thing, they were swinging. I was like, did they really do that? I was like not paying attention at all at that point, right? I was like looking at the dog like, damn, dude. That's some shit. That's got to be some pain.
Did it just give birth? Is that why they're so long?
I have no idea.
Well, possibly, yeah.
Swinging around. Jesus Christ. Fucking punching bags.
I knew TC was good for something right then. Could always pull out a dog nipple conversation out of TC.
This might be one of our real sure ones here.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even, like, you guys are getting way too far into it. I didn't even get any of that out of it. Like, I get the story, but I wasn't like, oh, look at this relationship and look at that relationship. I'm like, yeah, typical family. Yeah, no one likes each other. Yeah. And all right, moving on.
And I think, I don't know, I got a problem where I think movies that are in such high regard from people, like this movie it's like Stanley Kubrick's second favorite movie he's ever seen. Mm-hmm. It's in Tarkovsky's top 10. It's like Woody Allen's one of his favorite movies because Bergman's his favorite director. Like all these famous directors.
I mean, it was seamlessly done, right?
But like there's just nothing that's worth like so much praise in it. And I think that was what I was looking for. And it just was
overhyped.
Like, it felt flat. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I forgot it was Bergman.
That's good.
I wasn't
even
paying attention. Yeah.
Well, yeah. At least it was you could follow what was going on.
Man, his movies have been all over the place.
Yeah. Well, this was earlier on, right? Or no?
Yeah, this is right after The Seventh Seal.
Yeah. Which we got to watch. That one we watch.
Yeah, that one's really high up, I think.
Oh, yeah. These movies.
Is it high up? Okay.
There should be a list that just cuts off at a certain year. Not of all time. Of this time.
Of like...
Top 250 movies of this period.
If everyone was dead that made this movie, it's not on the list.
And it's not on exactly.
Oh, this one's the oldest one on the list. It's got a straggler. He's 107 years old. Good luck.
I don't know if we can let that one go.
Nope. Let me see. This one's 144 right now. Where is this on our list? This is pretty soon. Gonna back-to-back some Bergman. Can't wait.
Back-to-back Berg.
But I mean, just the scene where... Just going through my notes and plot points, the scene where he's having the dream and he's just like, oh, who's that in the box? Oh, yeah, it's me. Oh, myself is trying to smush my face into myself. I guess I'm just going to let this happen without having any facial expression. I don't know. That was what was going on in my head. I was talking to myself this entire movie.
I was like...
No? What were you thinking, John? Were you like, this is great?
John was into it, man. He was analyzing.
I know. That's why I'm curious.
He was getting all academia on it.
Yeah. I'm kidding. I wasn't like totally into it. And again, this was another one where we were watching it last night, and I had because of the schedules and whatnot, I ended up like having both kids wandering around. I have like a over 1-year-old kid who's just starting to walk, and he's into everything. So
dun, 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 shiny. Dun, 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 dun. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get that.
Right. And I have exactly. That's exactly right, TC. Yeah.
Was this breakable? I'm gonna grab it and try to throw it.
Hey, what does this do, Dad? Boom. That doesn't work.
Oh, it doesn't break. I'll eat it.
Oh, well, yeah. All right, cool.
I didn't kill myself by smashing something, so I'm gonna try to swallow something bigger than I should.
Yeah. And meanwhile, and my daughter, who's about 4 years old, keeps trying to show me pictures and things like that. And so it was quite the contrast to the sort of like stark nature of the film that I was watching. And in some ways, it helps that it's subtitled because then I can still sort of maintain a little bit of focus that way. So
Really? That sounds like it would be less focused somehow.
no, because kids, well, what the kids are usually like talking or saying stuff, it's a lot harder to maintain. Like it's easier actually to read.
Ah, gotcha.
Then like you can keep your eyes there and listen and be like, yeah, honey, okay, yeah, that's a pretty
Nope,
thing.
you're
That's some
fine.
multitasking.
Yeah,
Jeez.
you're not hurting, and you're not
Yeah.
screaming and yelling, and you don't smell like shit. So I'm
You're
gonna
good.
keep looking dead ahead.
Yeah.
So to me, I was a little removed from it, but I didn't know if that was just because there was a little bit of a circus going on otherwise while the film was
Your
being
tiny
watched.
circuits that you've created.
Circus is in the fucking house. Yeah. Jeez.
I can't believe I paid good money for this.
Yes. The death-defying antics of the toddler. Gasp as he grabs the remote control.
Oh, what is this? A slide one? Is it not non-talky?
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't mind it. I thought the concepts are really interesting to me. The idea of the importance of people and friendships and relationships in your life and sort of how you might evaluate that in when otherwise you might, and everybody around you, not everybody, but people who don't necessarily know you very well consider yourself very successful or somebody to be admired. And in fact, that's what in this movie, he's getting this big award. He's getting an honorary degree. He's going to get quite the pomp and circumstance.
Was that
for
for
an
him?
academic
Was that
achievement.
just for him?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
weird.
So, it was weird, but it was certainly, so that's this idea that he, by a lot of standards, he's had a great life and accomplished much. And yet he's struggling with feeling not just afraid of death, but just not feeling happy. And not feeling like just trying to figure out what this was all worth. As he's facing death, it's making him wonder, like, he's accomplished this great thing. He's about to be rewarded, like the pinnacle of his career, and he's not feeling that good about it. And I think all of that stuff is pretty interesting. So,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the ideas behind the story are, I agree. That all sounds
Right.
interesting.
Tale
Right,
as old
that's-
as time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, really, this is the story. I think there's a million movies that have been like this, or you touch on this.
I'm
or-
just
right?
seeing Belle and the Beast
Oh,
just
yeah.
sitting there like
Tales all the time.
going at each other. Oh, right now, this is what the Beast's gonna do. Now that I've cheated on him, he's
Yeah.
gonna. Anyway,
Well, they're watching this show. They've
Bella was
commented.
driving. It wasn't my fault.
Yeah, you would do that. You would
Um,
let me take the blame, you fucking jerk.
I'll
I
eat
thought-
your head. I am an animal.
This became really weird. Beauty and the Beast are
Yeah, right.
watching this movie.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I got a lot going on in my head right now.
So, yeah. But again, I like the way that he started off. He's like, well, I've never like been too fond of relationships because one of the things you have to do is talk about the person's character. And that's sort of like he just didn't want to examine like who he was or want to get to know people. And so he just ended up being very cold and just sort of like very like removed and seemingly uncompassionate, even though he was a doctor and did all these great things for the community or whatever that he was being honored for.
That he didn't even remember.
Yeah.
Doing,
So
right?
it's just, well, I don't know. He just
Seemed like he was just like,
it's-
oh, did I do that? Did I say that? I don't
Yeah.
even remember doing that. That's interesting. Or is he just getting old? He doesn't remember.
possibly too.
Yeah, I think he just rattles things off. So, I mean, but you're saying you're using the word was, describing that he was cold, but I mean, he didn't
Is.
change.
No,
Well, he did a
just-
little bit. He
he
warmed
just
up.
Did he?
He did.
Take
Yes.
my sleeping pill. Come on, take
Yeah.
one. Come on, he wasn't giving them up before.
Yeah. I mean, you
We never
can-
had a
you can see
nighttime
him-
scene before.
Hey,
Maybe it was.
you. I know you've always wanted one of these, but I always take them all. But you can
It
have
was
one.
very small. It wasn't a big dramatic change, but it certainly was a change for him. He was starting
What
to do
made him
things
change?
differently. The journey he had been on.
It's the journey.
and
That's
the
right.
the whole meeting these people, but also him reflecting on these things, how his dreams sort of like were shocking him and worrying him. The whole point of the movie is that he's all those things he experiences and how these real life people coincided with what his past was, helped him start to understand his feelings of that he wasn't necessarily right to be detached. When he starts out the film, He's just like, yeah, relationships. I don't want to be bothered with such things. And then towards the end of the film, you see him reaching out a little, and that's not, it's not huge, big dramatic change, but it
took 78 years, but you know,
but
it all happens in one day.
Yeah,
because that happens.
Yeah. So I think that's certainly a shift for him, which is, I mean, the movie is supposedly, I think it's interpreted as being a happy ending, like in terms of like he's like shifting into a better mental state. He's trying now to help his son. He's like, he doesn't, and again, the movie doesn't like directly, and it's funny when in some ways it's very direct, but the payoffs are still subtle. Like, for example, they don't necessarily have to follow through. They just sort of show him changing direction a little bit. So like when one of the things with his son is that he refused to pay off his son's debts, like med school debts or whatever they were. And in the very end of the film, when the son's coming back in just briefly, and he's like, "Hey, about that debt," and then the conversation, the son says something else, and they move off. But all you see is that he's now contemplating paying that back for his son, which he was not doing at all before. Yeah, and it's not even like he's gonna pay. It's not like there's some grand finale where it's like I paid the son's debts and everybody's giving me hugs and I'm sitting there with a big old smile on my face now or something, but. So it certainly isn't certainly not extreme in terms of the changes that are affected in him.
This movie is like Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol dialed from 8 down to 1.
Right.
Because he has like approximately 3 flashbacks, right?
He will be visited by 3 suggestions. Hints, if you will.
3 light tales of mediocre events in your childhood. And you will be shifted ever so slightly towards having a better life.
Slight anxiety.
Oh, and maybe the hallucinations were brought on by, because what's his name? He ate like a piece of cheese, Scrooge, and it made him like hallucinate. Really? So you could chalk it up to hallucinations. And he ate with strawberry. Maybe it was poisonous.
Oh, strawberries.
You stay away from those wild strawberries, huh?
Because he laid down on the strawberry field, right? And he ate one or something, and then started.
And whoa, man.
Whoa,
dude. Sugar, man.
That's something. Hey, so how does that BB character, the actress BB, the younger one who is real in this movie, where does she come from? She's just like, hey, I'm wandering around and you're in the bushes, so can we get a ride?
Yeah, true.
Is that it?
She had somebody she knew owned the house that they were in, or somehow she knew the house that he used to live at, that he was there. So she had knew that area or whatnot.
So she's like, we need a ride. Let's go to this house I know somebody at. Maybe they'll give me a ride.
No, they were there hanging out. And then why did they need a ride? Their car broke down, something. I forget why she needed a ride with her 2 suitors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
I thought one of them was a bodyguard at first because he was like sunglasses on.
Like, he was all like,
quiet. Yeah, but he was just trying to get her too. Man, that was the relationships back then. I don't know. That was pretty weird, right? That doesn't happen anymore. Girls don't lead on 2 guys like at the same time unless it's on like reality
it's like
television.
5 or 6.
And just have fun with it and be very like.
We don't double date with 2 dudes, right?
Maybe you don't bring them in the
double
same room
date.
necessarily.
No,
and you don't like talk
multiples.
about exactly what you're doing in front of them either necessarily.
It's like, I like this one okay, but this one's hotter, and you're like, what?
Yeah. And they're both like sitting there. Yeah, it's kind of the way it is.
She's not wrong.
Us a little annoyed.
He does have nice legs. Look at it. Nice legs. That's why she liked one of them. Yep. Those guys wore very short shorts.
Paying attention.
Very short shorts, John.
That one guy did. Yeah, and my wife mentioned that at one point. There was a comment like, "Oh, those are some short shorts."
Yeah, she's like, "Ooh, I like it." Why did those ever go out of style?
Look, I think they're in again, aren't they?
Are they?
Really?
I don't know. I think I know.
Gotta have some skinny legs.
I don't know what's in.
Yeah. Ear horn. Let's talk about the ear horn, huh?
Oh, the ear horn. The ear horn. That thing, man. Antique.
Can you please yell into my ear horn? Thank you.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Hold on. Let me just turn this way. That thing. Did that even work?
It must have. It looked expensive.
Yeah.
It was nice and polished.
Basically a seashell?
I don't know.
Right? Just like that, you get that effect. It just like amplifies whatever's around it a little bit, but.
You think it was like people before that was invented, they just like deaf people would cup their hands around their ear. They're like, This is tiring. I need like something to do this for me all the time.
Right. Well, it probably helped a bit.
No idea. Probably did help a bit.
And were those in style until like the electronic hearing aid came out?
Sure, right?
I would assume so, unless there was like an intermediate step in the
I mean,
technologies.
it came back when the first cell phones were made, right? It's like the same look.
In the dream he had when that face thing turned around and then fell over and then started leaking liquid. Like, what the hell was that?
Bag of blood.
Was it blood?
It is a bag of blood.
It's a bag of blood.
Why was it a bag of
Yeah,
blood?
I mean, I don't know if it was like real blood or whatever, but I remember overhearing. It's like the commentary was like in another room. I was like the chef at a party, and somebody was giving a lecture because that's the way it felt. That's the DVD playing like in 2 rooms away while I'm in the kitchen trying to cook. So I just would hear occasionally stuff. So I heard bag of blood, and I was like, "What? Bag of blood?
Bag of blood."
But yeah, they just had a bag of fluids that would just collapse to get that collapse. Apparently, it's an effect used in the Seventh Seal too. So we'll get to see the bag of blood again.
Just going through my notes here, John. Anything else you had since you are a commentary man this episode?
No, that I can really think of. I mean, I was impressed just from what I saw of the commentary, where there's a lot of detail and a lot of like every scene has a reason, and it didn't seem too made up. I don't know, like just here clearly you can see the symbolism of blah blah blah. It wasn't like that. There's certainly like very clear reasons and homages and whatever practical reasons why things were done the way they were done, and there's
and to give a movie maker credit for that seems a little strange, right?
Oh, no. Well, but a lot of thought went into that. I don't know. I mean, certainly there's a lot of movies where it's not necessarily like every single scene is very well crafted. And you certainly appreciate that when you, like that's one of the things I tend to love the Coen brothers for, because a lot of the films I really like by them, it seems like everything is very like constructed, to be a certain way. But yeah, I can't really think of other things from the commentary.
I had a couple of questions. There was like a Civil War flashback at one point in this movie. Did you guys notice that?
Civil War.
Well, it was like cannons firing instead. I thought it was Civil War. Could have been World War One.
Oh,
did they use cannons in World War One?
I don't know. I don't think so. Did they?
I don't even. I don't remember this flashback.
It was no translation for a hat exchange. Okay, it was like when he was getting his award, when like the guy was putting the hat on him and he was up in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was like a flash to cannons firing.
No, I think they were firing a salute to him.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a cut to cannons firing.
Yeah,
because they were doing it's part of the celebration, part of the ceremony.
Oh, what? Really? That looks weird.
Yeah. Maybe he just didn't edit together well for you.
Yeah, because I was like, whoa, he's like going back into his head here. Was he in the war or something? And he's thinking about it?
I mean, and then what? They don't even come close to explaining it?
Yeah. That's why I wrote it down.
I mean, you
like,
could see that with Bergman, right?
Yeah.
You could see that.
I was expecting it. I was expecting more of it.
He would do that.
But apparently he didn't.
Nope,
Crap.
just the ceremony.
It made me mad. They said like there was an extraordinary logic that he came to, and then it doesn't tell you what the logic was. Like his big revelation that towards the end of the movie that he came to, and they don't tell you what it is. That didn't frustrate anyone.
No, didn't even pick up on it.
Yeah.
I watched this movie as superficially as I possibly could.
Maybe that's the way to do it. So yeah, the end. He smiles. He thinks of his parents, then he smiles and then goes to sleep.
Right. So reconciliation for him is that he is accepting his parents for who they are.
For fucking up his life, possibly.
Well, or just beginning to understand them or something, like where he's able to then think back, and that's, I guess it's the ultimate sort of like you trace all of your relationships back, and ultimately you come to some kind of peace with who your parents are. And that's at least what that was. That's kind of like the full circle for him then, in terms of like starting to, back where things began and coming to some kind of peace with that, in terms with that, to where he can look back fondly on a good moment, seeing his parents there as they're fishing and picnicking.
Rather
and abandoning their children,
ones.
leaving them in the dust, leaving them with the cranky old aunt.
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
That's about all I got, guys. I mean, have you heard about, there's a lot of movies that were influenced by this movie. Like 8.5 is one, 5 Easy Pieces is one, a few Woody Allen movies, including Deconstructing Harry. There's a lot of directors that love this movie. So there's something to that.
Yeah.
And John liked it, so it's possible to enjoy as well. I don't know. That's it. That's it. I got nothing. John,
Yeah.
take it away. You're the boss of this one. Go for it.
What? Hey, I talked a lot.
You did.
did all
'cause
of
no,
it.
we didn't have anything else.
I didn't
to
have
say.
anything to say.
Yeah, I got not much more. I sort of I'm kind of out, man.
Would
So
you recommend
rate and
this to anybody?
subscribe. Would you go to the thing, do the whole rigmarole?
Yeah. Well, would you recommend this to anyone, John, or are you kind of
I'm really kind of on the fence. I kind of want to see it again. I don't
again?
know.
So you're going the 2.5 route.
2.5.
Well, the commentary from the kitchen, that's a half, maybe.
Oh, that's right. Good point. Yeah, but I wasn't watching the film. I just had that guy's voice. When did the film come out? What was it? What were the
57?
57? So it's not that old compared
pretty
to
damn
some of
old.
the stuff we've seen. I know. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just feel sort of like in the middle about it. I'm not really like I like the ideas. I think it's interesting. I think there's not many movies about like really old guys contemplating their lives like that. I don't know. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, man.
So you're on the middle, but would you put it on the top 250?
Probably not mine.
Would you put it on TC's?
Yes.
You got it on there before you could say no.
That's true.
It's on the
That's
list.
true.
It's stuck there forever.
That's all right. It's a fleeting list.
Fleeting for sure.
Fleeting, can't
Like
even think about it.
Old
you
men
know?
in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another short one. This is good, guys. We got a bunch of old ones. We got the night off early. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
It's almost like we could have skipped this one. Oh, wait. No, we couldn't.
No, you can't skip any of them.
I know.
Got to watch all of them.
I do.
Yes. Next week, we're watching a 1995 movie directed by Martin Scorsese.
Uh-oh.
Wait a minute.
Or are we?
Oh, is this?
There may or may
be
not.
a new one.
So you want to put the record scratch sound effect right there?
Well, actually, we might do something different.
We might.
So,
For no
Danny, I don't know
reason better
why.
than nothing.
No,
I
to
don't
be
know
quite
why.
honest,
I think there's again
to shake it
we
up
know-
after all these, old,
Yeah.
boring. I mean, great films
Right.
of history.
But even this selection, I'm not sure why Denny's had this movie on the brain.
he
When's the
loves
last
this
time?
movie.
Don't mention it. Don't
We're
mention
not
what it
mentioning
is.
the name, but
Yeah.
he loves this movie.
But John,
ladies
when's the
and
last time
gentlemen.
you've seen this masterpiece of
This.
cinema?
I do not. I saw it shortly. I think it got rented.
Oh, by accident?
No, it was
Very
it was
much on
action.
purpose.
Very, very
It
much
got
on
rented on
purpose.
purpose after I didn't see it in the theater, but after it came out, it was like it was one of the expensive ones at Blockbuster or probably
what?
Hollywood Video for me.
Hollywood
Expensive?
Video. Yep.
They were
remember
tiers?
that.
I forget.
Yeah. The new
Oh,
releases
yeah.
were
the
more
2-day
expensive
rentals
than,
versus the,
Yeah.
7-day
Oh.
rentals.
you got your 99 centers,
Yeah.
Oh.
You got the bottom shelf, you got the top shelf.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
got the
This is-
$7.99 ones behind the black curtain.
And yeah, there you go. Behind
what
the
state you live
beads
in, I guess.
and
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sure that so shortly after it was released on DVD, or if it was maybe it was VHS back then, hell, 90s? No. We were at DVDs by then, right?
Mid 90s might have been VHS still. That's like the brink, right? Like mid 90s
Yeah.
was the brink. That's a bit of a clue.
Oh, well, it's not, there's a lot of movies
Mid-90s.
then. There was a lot of movies then, but this
And
one.
if you guys are
This
so
one.
inclined, I'm definitely gonna do this. There's a feature-length commentary for this movie with the director, and
When
I'm
you're gonna be
freaking
watching
excited.
that? You're going to be watching
Yeah, dude.
that.
No.
You're definitely going to be watching that.
Hey, for this movie that we are about to enjoy?
The movie
Yes.
to what we are about to enjoy.
I can't imagine listening to the director of said movie for however very long this movie is.
I just,
You
like-
will anyway.
Oh,
I-
man.
yeah.
There we go. Look at that. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
The screen was orange for a full 5 minutes.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we should talk about what it is, but why this? What is there a story as to why this movie came back? Is there some
It's
Russian
relevant,
influence
and
here?
Yeah.
my going through this list makes me wish for other
Other
times
movies?
in my movie viewing life.
Me too. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I want a stupid movie every once, like
Well,
a good quality
It's a
stupid
good
movie.
quality dumb movie. Thank
Well,
you.
Yes.
that's fine. I think we should be able, and I think we can just be looser about which films we watch and whether it's seasonal or
a little
and
Christmas
thinking about
movie
this,
here
it's
and
like-
there. Is that what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
well, I was
I mean,
thinking
it
we
doesn't
missed
have to
out. We
be just the
should've-
list.
Right. We should have picked a horror film since we were just coming off Halloween because there's a lot of good stuff there that's not on the list. But I think we can be a lot more flexible as long as we're all in agreement.
We have to be because
Sure,
I can't keep watching these
rules.
1950 movies.
Really, Danny, you're in charge, and if you're going to make us watch this one, then I think all bets are off.
I think at the very least, each one of you gets one pick.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I think that that's that'd
what
be
you
too
picked
strict.
is
I think
gonna
we
be
should just
fun.
do. I think after a movie that is from 1960,
Or
we
below.
can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah. If there's a string of movies ever again from the 1930s to 1960s,
Yes,
Like two
just
in a row.
throw
especially
one
with
in
the-
there. Yeah,
because
because no
'Cause
one's gonna
it's
want to listen to both
open-minded.
of those.
yeah, as open-minded as we like to be, or think we are for watching them, they're grading some of them.
So, was it a particular reason why this movie has
It
been
came
in
up,
the forefront of your mind?
Like I brought it up just like 10 episodes in a row by accident, or not by accident, but just reminded me of things from that movie.
You're like, I mean, not accident. I kept planting it in there a little bit over time.
It's great, and
Twitter us if you can figure out which movie he's talking about.
if you've been listening to the past 10 episodes, we talked about it and we said we
Okay.
were going to do it. So it was kind of obvious, but yeah,
All right.
I'm excited.
Okay, so the movie is.
We're not going to say, are we?
We're not saying.
Yeah,
No,
we
no,
should say,
no,
because
no,
there
no.
may be people that would like to watch the movie. They're listening to this.
Well, they could
this week's
watch it
podcast.
next week when we put it out.
Yeah, but it's kind of fun to be able to know. And come on, we should tell people.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, you're really
John's
kinda
getting
ruining
annoyed.
this,
John's
John.
getting annoyed.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry. To keep
We
it
had such a
secret.
good build-up
No, I
going
don't-
here.
I don't give a shit whether we keep it a secret or not.
Oh, okay.
1996 Michael Bay classic. John,
This is all you, Danny.
This
You
is
go.
you. Danny.
I want to hear you say the name of the movie in a Sean Connery impression.
Rock. I can't do it. I don't know how to say it. I'm just.
Oh god,
Rock.
it's gonna be
Tough one.
a lot of Forrest Sean Connery impressions next week.
Yeah, I'll have to practice.
This movie has 300,000 votes on IMDb.
Hey.
What's it ranked at IMDb?
7.4, not bad.
Yeah, what number is it? Do we have a number out of the 250, or do we only get 250?
It's not the 250.
Right. So they don't have rankings beyond that. I don't know.
No. Yeah, 250 is the lowest one. But 7.4 is pretty good. The top 250 starts at 8.0.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for listening, everybody. Our website is mission250filmcast.com. You can like and subscribe us on the podcast app that you're listening to us on. We're on Twitter and Facebook if you use those. So follow us and comment and whatever you want to do on those things. Well, yeah, cool. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Hey.
All right. See you guys.
Stop 'em.